Francine LeFrak was in Rwanda, and she saw the horrors of Rwanda, and she changed people's lives by the women making beautiful jewelry. And it's a great organization, samesky.org. And Francine suggested that we do something for the women in Jersey City. So we started the benefit collection. And I just want to share with you that collection, that jewelry, enables women to work at crazy hours so that they can go to school and that they can go to work and they can supplement their income. Francine LeFrak singularly has made a difference in the lives of the women of Jersey City that are returning citizens. And so when I see my dear friend Senator Cunningham here and all of you, I'm just saying, here's somebody in Francine who's been recognized by the United Nations, the nation of France, Forbes magazine, for ethical consumerism. And that is, when we shop, let's lift up the people who make this beautiful jewelry so that they can reclaim their lives. Ladies and gentlemen, the great, powerful, strong, powerful woman who will lead this panel, my dear friend, Francine LeFrak.
Thank you, Jim. You certainly lift and make things happen, because I certainly wouldn't be here if Jim didn't open the door and Jim didn't fight hard for ex-offenders and know the importance of jobs. But I would be remiss in not pointing out someone today who's having a very special day, and that's Tonya Franklin, who graduated high school today. She graduated high school today. And Jim mentioned that I gave so much to the women of Jersey City. Well, let me tell you the truth. The women of Jersey City have given so much to me. And when I think of Tonya, Nicole, and Barbara in the audience, and Gloria, and the women that I work with, I get chills. And I feel this unbelievable sense of pride that these women have reclaimed their life and took advantage of a job to give themselves a second chance. So please give them a round of applause. Now, I'm going to start the panel with the fabulous Reverend Gloria Walton, who's a gift to Jersey City and a gift to America and a gift to rehabilitation and giving second chances. So, Gloria, Reverend Walton, tell us what's special about women that demands a new reentry focus. Is it just the difficulty of finding a job, family reunification, or is it housing? What makes women's cases so different?
Well, all of the above. However, I house both men and women, and women particularly have a higher risk of mental illness, particularly depression. And that we see that in their clinical presentation and their therapeutic results. And that's when you really begin to see the gender differences. And so the mental health issues that we are learning actually should be primary in their assessments, and from there we're able to give them a proper placement. Housing is absolutely elementary to male and female, but for this panel, females, successful reentry.
Thank you. I'm going now to Judge Venable, and thank you for the great work you do. Now, you've worked with many programs over the years and many different female clients. The criminal justice system focuses largely on men. Are there decisions and actions that judges can take to help women individually in an effort to help reunite their families?
Well, there's different divisions. There's the criminal division, and there's also family. And a lot of times the family division is what tries to also reunite family members. I'll just say this story from the Bible, and one was, and I'll just paraphrase it, but a person who was robbed and hurt. And two people passed him and just let him lie there. But there was one person from Samaria, that's where we get the Good Samaritan, who not only took him to an inn, but also paid so that person would be able to be there to recover. And I see here the providers, the people here are the Samaritans who are helping. Now, when you talk about the judiciary, we have certain tools that we can utilize. I was a drug court judge for many years, as well as chair of the Drug Court Advisory Committee, Supreme Court Committee. And that is a way of helping people once they are in drug court, where we use providers such as Most Excellent Way with Reverend Walton, where we try to help them because of the fact that, but for their addiction, they would not be before me. So that is a role. But as far as some of the things the judiciary we cannot do, but the things that we can do, at least for Hudson County, I know, and we have a wonderful drug court judge, Judge DeFazio, we try to help those who qualify for drug court. Those that do not qualify for drug court, we still have probation with some of the requirements that we can put in place to go to certain programs to help them. And once we help that individual, we then help the whole family.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Now, Pastor Regena Thomas, as a pastor and civil rights advocate and former Secretary of State, what's the most important challenge for reentry for women particularly? How can state government place a greater priority upon women in prison and reentry services?
I want to first say that I want to thank Governor McGreevey for having this here today. I've talked to a lot of folk who've gone in and out, and of course we want to put on point that we want one in South Jersey. And I'm going to make that statement when the governor comes in here. We want one of these in South Jersey. I'm here today representing the American Federation of Teachers, and I think one of the points behind sort of the women in reentry is a level of bias. And so we at the AFT want to work very closely with reentry organizations, because when we're dealing with women, we're dealing with children, you're dealing with spouses, you're dealing with the whole entire family. And so it's very important that we understand sort of the nuances of one being a woman and the impact that we as women have across the boards. And so I think one of the major hurdles that we have to deal with is that bias. Society is used to dealing with men in the system, but when it comes to us, that level of sensitivity, that level of depression, when a woman is no longer caring about herself and what she's going through, but what she's put her family through. And that is systemic, as I think Reverend Sharpton said. He can't replace his father. There's nothing he can do if his father's out of the house. Now, couple that if your mother is not there, if the very nurturing support system that you have in your life goes awry and children have to go with. And so I think what the faith community has to do is to assist the public as a whole in sort of doing what the Samaritan did. And we in the faith community cannot be judges. All too often, I think folk come to us and you assume that you already got to be there. We need those that are least and lost, and you should feel free to come into our doors, and we should allow you there.
Yes. Thank you so much. I'm going to shift now to Tonya. Tonya, share with us your story. How did this incredible program help you from jail to the Most Excellent Way? What difference did reentry make in your life? Can you share that with us?
Yeah, just a little something. Well, I came to reintegration, actually, most excellent way, about 3 years ago. And I'm actually still there, but I'll be moving out April 1st into my new apartment. Yes. Reintegration is a, well, most excellent way. Spiritual program. We have a lot of different things that we do there. We wake up and pray together as a family. And when we do same sky bracelets, we come together as in a table, and we kind of like sisters. You know, we share each other. We cry. We have different moments, and you know, we just there for one another. I don't like to talk too much. What else you want?
Wait a minute. Tell us a little about high school. Come on.
Whew. That was a journey for me, a whole year in high school. I mean, actually, high school, switching classes and there with a lot of young ladies. It was a journey for me, but it still didn't end. It just was one door closing and more opportunities opening. I was not open to it, but I actually got to grow on to something different that I knew at the end of the day was going to save my life. So I stayed, and I got the help that I needed. It been struggles, do all of it, but I stuck and stayed, and today I'm actually a high school graduate.
Now, Judge Williams,
Yes,
how are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Women remain deeply attached to their children, whether in county jails or a federal prison. Are there electronic ways, for example, video Skype, to help maintain a connection between mothers and their children? How is the Camden Federal Court assisting women and their children to stay connected?
All right, so apparently there's a little disconnect because I'm on this panel, Women in Reentry, because I'm a woman and I do reentry. We don't currently have any female participants in our program. But to speak to your question on what can the federal government do, what can we do as part of our court system, our federal government system and prisoners, to facilitate the relationship between families, women and their families, families in general. The invention of electronics and telecommunication, this is all very new. The only method currently in use for Skype, remote video conferencing, things like that, are for court appearances. But you raise a very interesting issue. Can we, will we, should we do these kinds of things? And it certainly sounds like something that's feasible. The technology's there. One of the things we talk about in our court quite often is getting to, we call them our participants, getting to our participants before being released from prison. And that would certainly seem like something that should be put in place prior to release to start working on that very important integral relationship to all of us prior to release. So it's something that I'm sure all the folks here are so involved in reentry will take up that cause. It's something that we know the technology is there. It's just a matter of, you know, whether Bureau of Prisons will allow such remote access to prisoners. How do you control it? Things of that nature. We know it's there. We use it for court appearances. This is also would be a good use and something I think we should explore.
Thank you so much. Former Deputy Administrator Selika Gore. Not having a driver's license may be difficult for a man, but for a woman who's trying to secure an apartment for her and her children, not having a license or identification is almost certainly going to result in her living in a shelter. How can we improve services for women who are also trying to be responsible mothers?
Before I started working at the Motor Vehicle Commission, I was a criminal and corporate defense attorney. And in that regard, it was clear at the lack of economic power that women had and probably 99% of my clients were men. I fast forward to my years at the Motor Vehicle Commission in New Jersey and had an opportunity to work with Chairman Plosis and many members in Jersey City in the Fugitive Safe Surrender Program. Nelson Mandela had a saying that was, if you want to know about a country, you need to visit their jails. And what happens is there is a lack of hope, not that they're not going to get out, but the lack of opportunities and obstacles when they do get out is what continues to perpetuate this hopelessness while incarcerated. For women particularly, if you don't have an identification, just like a man, you're not going to have an opportunity to get a job, have a difficult time leasing an apartment. The things that we take for granted on a day-to-day basis. Can't get a bank account without an ID. But especially for a woman who has children, the opportunity sometimes to even enter the building that your children go to school in. The opportunity to prove residence so your children can attend the school district that you do live in. These are unique situations that women face. And one of the things that I think I'm probably most proud of in terms of my tenure here in New Jersey was the work that we did with Martin's Place, and to create a nexus from the Motor Vehicle Commission and this wonderful organization to provide people with an opportunity to gain their ID and to get a license. Far too often, thank you. Far too often you're released, but there are additional impediments to your getting an ID based on non-motor vehicle acts that have occurred in your past. Those are legal decisions that are far beyond my ability to change, but your opportunity to get an ID or a driver's license should not be tenured to something that has nothing to do with your ability to prove who you are or an action that you've taken while driving. And until we start to correct that, not just here in New Jersey, but across the nation, we're going to continue to put people behind the eight ball when they're released because they won't have the opportunity to have an ID or to have a driver's license.
Thank you. That's really great. I'm going to use an example. Thank you, Governor McGreevey. When I was in private practice, I had a client who had a lot of money, and he was released from jail. And he had 19 suspensions in 14 municipalities across the state of New Jersey. It was a very profitable client for me. We essentially had to undo all the things that had taken place, all the suspensions that resulted in bench warrants for minor violations that had occurred, some of them almost 20 years ago, for as simple as a parking violation. It was very expensive and incredibly timely, with motions before municipal courts across the state, in order to undo all the things that was preventing this man, who finally had gotten his life together, from getting a driver's license, getting a car, and getting a job. You could have some issue that you didn't report to court for, and now you have a warrant. That warrant's going to prevent you from getting a driver's license. And many of you in the audience are volunteering your time and your efforts to represent people who are released and have an opportunity to deal with those issues in municipal courts. But until they're dealt with, that person who's released is unable to get an ID or a driver's license in many, many instances. And one of the things I can say to attorneys out there, if you have a client who's going to jail for 2, 3, 4 years, try to wrap up their municipal court violations in that plea up front,
so that when it's time for them to be released, it's not a noose hanging over their head, preventing them from being a part of society and keeping them in the underground. Thank you.
I know that Gloria deals with that every day.
That is so important. Women, I love the topic of women because for every woman there's a child, in my home as it is. And having their ID and their driver's license, because unfortunately, because of the judgmental component that so many of the employers still have, they have to look outside of the local communities for employment. And yes, in the inner city, we have easy transportation, but being transported for possible employment outside of the local community is very important. Visitations to their children, when their children is in care, whether it's relative care or foster care, those mothers are responsible for getting themselves to wherever the visitation is held. Unfortunately, sometimes our children are out of county. So being able to transport themselves there for the sake of family reunification is absolutely a must for women.
Thank you so much. I want to turn our attention to the fabulous Nicole. Nicole, who's a Same Sky artisan, tell us your story and how Same Sky helped you with your financial independence. How did making the jewelry, which is this is the jewelry, compare with the chaos on the streets? What does Same Sky mean to you as a woman? And making something beautiful and knowing you're helping people in Rwanda too, how does that feel?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nicole Freeman. Given the chance and the opportunity to have a second chance at life and at Same Sky, as well as the Most Excellent Way program, I was very appreciative to have the opportunity to have that second chance. Working with Same Sky bracelets gave me a sense of tranquility in my life. I put my headphones on, put my music on, and I just get to work and knowing that the bracelets I was making was going to benefit the women in Rwanda and the stuff that they needed. It came from the love of my heart. And if you have love for yourself and your children, you can have love for anybody and the compassion for it. Since then, I have actually graduated my program at Integrity House. I've successfully finished my program at the Most Excellent Way. I'm working and I am a worker at Blue Apron. I'm in the packing department. I pack the food that gets shipped out to people's houses. Successfully been there now 5.5 months, going into my 6th month at the end of this month. I'm also glad to say that it's been a 1.5 years clean and sober for me.
Bravo.
Every day that I think about that, every time that I got my beads together and my strings together, I thought about my children as well as the women in Rwanda and the children that they have. Given the opportunity to think that I'm making these bracelets for these women and the money that I'm going to receive, if the money wasn't going to me, I have 2 children. My money was going to my boys. Mommy, I need this. Mommy, I need that. I'm always going to do a motherly duty. So being that I'm doing something for love for somebody else, is also showing that the love is coming back to me and it's going to my children. Which I'm happy to say that my 2 children are very happy that I'm home. My son is becoming a minister, and my other son, he's going to the 2nd grade as of this year. And this is my reunification time. I have joint custody of my children as a result of this, but it still gives me the opportunity to have that connection that I lost for those 9 months that I was 5.5 months incarcerated and the other 5.5 months on the bracelet, going back and forth with my trial and everything. To be able to hold my son in my arms, sleep, and see him there next to me on the weekends or whenever, it gives me, great pleasure to say that, excuse me, I'm just happy to be home and everything has worked good out for me.
Well, we're so proud of you.
And I thank you, Francine. I thank you, Reverend Walton, Barbara, Tonya, Jim, I thank you for everything that y'all have done for me. Candace, I see you out there. Thank you because for you told me that it was okay to cry. Everything that's going on in my life, I have no greater pleasure but to thank the higher power above who got me through it every day and has continued to get me through it as of today.
But also, your very hard work. You've got to give yourself credit, because when Nicole starts making those bracelets and puts her headset on, nothing stops her in the world. She goes 1,000 miles an hour, and the judge was so impressed with the work that she did. He took the ankle off of her. He took the bracelet off of her ankle and dropped the charges against her. So,
Yes.
Bravo to you. Now, on this subject of women and reentry, I feel like we rushed through it. If anyone would like to make a comment and feel that maybe the question was a little narrow for what they wanted to express, this is your moment.
Thank you. I also would like to thank Governor McGreevey as well, because of the work that is done in the court. He would come and he would advocate also for someone for a second chance. And
I said before, Judge Venable said enough, Jim, please.
But it was sincere, and when he mentioned the work of someone, I really truly believed him because of the compassion that he had. So I want to thank you for showing me something that maybe I would not have known had you not came in and started talking to me. Right now, the governor has signed into bill, which will become effective January 1st, is the criminal justice reform. And this will have a major impact on women as well as men. And our system now is a monetary, the ability to pay. And there are some people who have the ability to pay, but they really should not be out on bail. And there's a majority of people who are incarcerated on bail and they can't make it. So now New Jersey is changing based on research as well as other states, and it is now becoming a resource. It's not going to be resource-based monetary, it's going to be risk assessment. So a person will not have to be incarcerated waiting for their trial, which could be months and months and even, unfortunately, years sometimes, to where they will be able to be out with their family. And the criteria is if they're not a danger to the society and that they will appear in court. And so that, I believe, will help and families where somebody might not lose their job if they're working because they're incarcerated. So as a result of not being able to make bail. So it's a major step. That, I think, is one of, and it's a collaboration between all three branches of government. And when all three branches work together, this is what happens. And the same thing with drug court. And drug court now is almost like, it's a norm now, where before it wasn't, where people were like, no, we're gonna let these people out who have committed some like burglary or whatever, but they would not have done that had it not been for their addiction. But now people see that these are people and they have a problem, a substance abuse problem. But when that is corrected, when that is dealt with, it's almost like saying, welcome home, welcome back, because they are just like everyone else. They love their families, but yet for this problem. So I commend everyone, and I remember when, and I'm gonna be short, Reverend Walton came and visited me, And before there was even excellent, most excellent way, and where she had a desire and a heart to do what she is now doing, that says something. And we all here, the best that we can do, whatever it may be, to be that Samaritan, that good Samaritan. Even if you help one person, I say you don't help just one. You may be helping a generation. So that's all I have to say, and I thank you again.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I'll be just as brief, but thank you, Judge Venable. A gentleman made reference earlier to the abatements that developers receive. I'm sure that that's not just for Hudson County, but there is a desperate need for permanent housing. We're banning the box. Then the gentleman made reference to, even on the housing applications, it is difficult. Our women complete their sentence. They are free. We go through exercises of forgiveness. It is time that landlords find that element of forgiveness as well and give people freedom. And the Bible he told Pharaoh to let my people go. It is time that we let the women and the men as well, after they complete their sentence, give them the opportunity to live, that they may be reunified with their children. If we don't change how we house our returning citizens, then we are beckoning for repeat offenders.
So I wanted to go back for a minute to the question that was posed. So 2 things. I sit in Camden, New Jersey, which is probably the most south any of you have ever been, but it's not the furthest south in the state. And so we have federal reentry in Camden. We've been up for about eight months. Yeah, last June we started. We had our first session. And as usual, with things that happen in the state, the South seems to be at the end of what's happening. Always, right? So now we are up and running in federal reentry in Camden. We do not have any female participants, and so I'm going to segue into one of the issues that is relevant to the reentry and for women like this panel who deal with reentry and deal with male participants. And yet, part of a successful reentry program is the members of the team connecting with the participants in the program. And so, oftentimes, the roles we play are tremendous and varying. Sometimes I feel as though I'm mothering someone. Sometimes I feel like, I'm the girlfriend because you need to get right in your relationship. This is how you do it. And, you're counseling on any and every level, how to be a better father. Now, how am I expressing that? And I loved Reverend Sharpton's comment about how the impact of not having a father present in the home impacted them. A lot of our participants, if not all of them right now, have that situation. And so as a woman in reentry, I run a reentry court in Camden with Judge Hillman, which I'm thankful for, because there are issues that are particular to men that men need to address, even in the reentry court program, even as a judge in reentry. But what we're anticipating, yes, we will have female participants. We will, and that those participants will come in, and we have a reentry team that's phenomenal. We're across the street from Rutgers Camden. So we have Rutgers Law Clinic, we have Rutgers Social Services, we have Rutgers Dean, Assistant Deans, all of these resources available to our reentry program, which will continue to be available. The interesting thing, though, is most of our team members are also women. And so it seems as though women have taken up this cause, no matter who the participant is, but women have taken up this cause and are moving forward, striving forward, and looking forward to returning citizens, as we heard Mr. Walton speak today. Thank you.
Thank you. I do want to say one thing. With Reverend Gloria's program and the help that she offers with the court, with the shame, with the drug addiction, with the prayer, and with Same Sky, which is offering a job. So while they're in the program, they're actually earning money. We have, and I'm so proud to say it, a 0 recidivism rate when the average is 75% recidivism. So it completely makes sense because we have a 0 recidivism rate. So I encourage you with some of the women offenders to really try this kind of complete type program and to help them get a job too at the same time while they're going through reentry, because it makes a whole world of difference. So thank you very much. And
I want to reiterate again the role that I think that one American Federation of Teachers in particular, but more so labor. I know on next week, members of AFL-CIO led by Secretary Treasurer Loretta from AFT is going to Washington State to a women prison where a union trained those while they're in prison, provided job opportunities, and immediately upon them being released, they move into a labor job. We know that when you have not just a job, but when you have a labor job, that you make 54% greater than women who do not have a job. And so I encourage us to seek those of us in labor who are working on this issue in our prison reentry program, and in particularly making sure that the emphasis on AFT, representing K through 12 and wraparound services are included.
Thank you very much. I do want to ask if Barbara would like to say something.
Jim set me up. Hi, my name is Barbara, and I'm at Most Excellent Way still, and I run the house there. I make the bracelets for Same Sky. I'm still making the bracelets, and Jim wanted me to speak about the kiosk we opened up in Newport Court. And what I got from that was, it was tremendous, it was wonderful. He wanted me to talk about how with security, how I make the bracelets, and I do that as well. But anyway, what I wanted to say was I talk the video every other day. I enjoy making the bracelets. I do it from the heart. And back some time ago, the purpose of me speaking about the kiosks is because I made a bad decision in my life. I've done some things, and I paid the price for that. So with me opening up the Newport Mall, that was a big change for me. Because like I said, I made some mistakes. But by me opening up the kiosk machine and the work and stuff that I'm doing, I'm giving back to society. So I feel good about that. I'm going to school now for my CADC. I graduated all my programs. I completed probation. And it was wonderful Miss Gloria Walton accepted me in her program as well as in her house. I learned a lot from her. I'm still learning a lot from her. I'm a mentor. And I give it all to her. And I also thank Francine, LeFrak, of course, Jim McGreevey. I completed CELA, Most Excellent Way. And I'm just happy to keep on, I'm happy about keeping on climbing the ladder. I'm still trying to elevate myself to the next level. And that's why I'm saying I'm going to school for my CADC. I thank you all. Thank you, Jim.
I just want to acknowledge Mark one more time from Koch Industries. These are 3 amazing employees that have given second chances. They are such hard workers, and really, corporate America would be lucky to have any one of them. So thank you, Gloria Walton, and thank all of you on this panel, and of course, thank Jim McGreevey for making this happen.
We have about 5 minutes. Can we just ask if there's any questions from the audience? We've got time for oh Lord. We got more response. Women, as Regena said. We've got time for about 3.
My name is Darla DeLeon. My husband and I have a company called Steer Straight. We bring successfully acclimated ex-offenders into our schools, our churches, our halfway houses, our detention centers. all our programs across the whole country to talk to kids about this very thing, about not doing what we did to get us locked up. I'm in recovery. I'm also a successfully acclimated ex-offender. You asked a question to the lady on the end about how people can Skype. There's a lady in Regena who has a program called the Messages Project that she's been trying to get into New Jersey for years, where they can videotape messages to their children. And it really does work in those communities. I'd be glad to give you that information for her if you would like it. I have to say, behind my drug addiction, I ended up in jail several times. If it were not for, and I have children, if it were not for this place called Lady Rest in Newark, New Jersey, it was a homeless shelter for women during the day, and then I would go to the Catholic charities at night as a shelter. I would not be standing here today as a person in recovery. So those things are very important. Very important. I put people into treatment all around the country behind drug addiction. It is so hard to find, in this state especially, a place for women to go with children who need treatment, or women who are pregnant who need treatment. They want to put them on Suboxone, but that's not the best option. So we need more, for the women in this room, we need more resources for women to help us. Yes. We really need that. Women are, a lot of times, women are the most affected by the choices and decisions that people around them make that we're not talking about enough. My husband spent 12 years behind a wall and 3 years in a halfway house, and I was out there struggling by myself for a really long time, making peanuts because I had to support myself and my children. But I did it, and so can everybody else.
Amen. Did anybody want to respond to that? Okay.
Well,
Selika, you want to respond to anything?
Well, I'll respond.
Go ahead, Jeff.
That she demonstrated that it can be done and why it is so important that everyone here does their part to the best of their ability. You are a living example. You are a cover for which we can use to show that it works, that you can be a member of society the way you want to be, and that you are helping others. I mean, the fact that you are here says a lot. So thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Micah?
My name is Mike I'm director of the Nehemiah Group. I'm also a business owner. Question to the returning young ladies and to the judges. How was the process from when you did return home to be able to reintegrate back with your children? A lot of people here earlier talked about, the separation of the offender from the child while incarcerated, but they don't talk about post-release, how they have to go before the same courthouse, file motions. It's very intimidating going before, judges. Last time you were in this courthouse, you were walked out the back door and served several years and didn't see your family. So what is that process like? And are there any barriers there towards that process? And for the judges, how can it be easier once an individual has been able to pay their debts to society? How can now that individual not have to be looked at as an offender just trying to see their children? Because when they come home and they're given a parenting schedule, which is more like a visitation schedule because you're offered every other weekend, 4 days a month, 48 days a year, but you really can't be an effective parent. So to put the emphasis on co-parenting, how can the judicial system play a part in putting together a more equal parenting schedule so it's easier for young ladies and fathers to be able to come back and be in their children's lives and stop that revolving door?
Thanks, Micah.
Well,
Oh, Lord.
So from the judicial perspective, two things we do in our court in terms of facilitating the relationship between parent and child. I'll start with first. We invite our participants to bring their children with them to court, which we meet every other Tuesday. And we do special things. And Judge Arleo, who the governor spoke of earlier, is my counterpart in Newark. She makes sure to have things in court to entertain the children of the participants who are there. So we make court welcoming to the children of the participant if the participant chooses to bring the kids. The second part of your question was being back in the courtroom, having been a negative experience, how do we make it positive? We deal with that head on, up front, first day. And we do the initiation into the program by saying, we know the last time you were here, it was a very negative experience. We're dedicated to making this a positive experience. This is when you, the court, the judicial system, and all the components of the judicial system makes your life positive. You're going to learn to be in a courtroom and be before a judge in a positive way, much different from the last time you were here. So we deal with both of those issues up front as soon as the participants join.
I was a family court judge, and I think that is mostly what you were referring to. And judges in family court, I'm no longer, but the main thing was, what is the best interest of the child? And that usually dictates what, and it might take some time for the judge to see that the best interest of the child is no longer once every other week, once a month. Maybe it's now best for custody, full custody, or joint custody, whatever it is. But that's the main thing. But is it work? Yes, it is. Is your child worth it? Yes, it is. So whatever it is, you will do what you need to do to make that reunification. And when the judge sees that, that's what will dictate his or her decision.
I would like to answer that question as a mother who has just gone through this. Coming home, I have visitation rights every week. Had to go up to the DCPP building to Child Protective Services and have visitations with my son. His father didn't want to bring him to visit me in the county because he knew the effect that it would have on my child and that it would have on me. And the first day that we did finally get the chance to see each other, we cried the whole 2 hours that we was there because it was a mother and a child's bond that had been separated for 5.5 months for something negligence and not being in my actions that I should have been in. It was the happiest moment of my life, getting to hold my child and getting to wipe his tears off his face and him wiping the tears off my face and saying, Mama, I love you and I'm glad you're home. When am I going to come live with you again? It took time, but completing everything that I had to complete, getting off the bracelet and going to work. I have my apartment. He has his bed in his own room. So that time away from him to get into that back to that time with him, wasn't hard for me because I know how me and my child was. We had that special bond that nobody can break. A mother and a child is always going to be a certain way. When a child is separated from their parent, you know, they never know what's going to happen. Like with my oldest son, he decided he wanted to go to West Virginia. Now he tells me he wants to become a minister. That shows that the good parenting that I did do before everything that happened before my incarceration now shows the better parent that I am now that I'm home and I'm doing what I'm doing to have an apartment, have a job, being successfully clean and sober, and the reunification of having my own place and my children with me, getting to cook their meals, getting to clean their noses when they're sick and taking them to the doctors and doing what I had to do. Going through the courts for it, when I first went to court, the judge was like, well, you know, if you don't do what you got to do, you don't straighten up right, you're not going to have a chance with your child. But by the end of that session, which was the same day that I completed my program at Integrity House, October 27th, the judge told me, I have no problems with you. I see that you have done everything you had to do successfully, and if it's all right, you and the father have sat down and made an agreement, we had joint custody of our child. That way, he doesn't have to worry about whether he's going to see his father. He doesn't have to worry about if he's ever going to see his mother. He has the opportunity to spend time with both of his parents, and I'm happy for that.
Amen. Thank you, Nicole. I'm going to call the
Hi, I'm Jen, and I am a 12-step volunteer in several county jails here in New Jersey and Edna Mahan Prison. And I want to say every one of you are amazing. I think I've been paying close attention today. I know Governor McGreevey said earlier this morning that 70% of those behind bars have substance abuse problems. And, you know, when we bring these meetings into Edna Mahan, maximum security especially, you know, we get 5 to 20 women. And my question is, and also when we go in, we check in and all that, we know that these women also have to choose between church, or are they going to go and try to get sober, at the meeting? And so my question is where are the partnerships with these jails and the state prisons to help facilitate a lot of this, giving hope to these women who are probably going to spend quite a few more years behind bars, but it has to start somewhere. And the other thing is that getting hope back into those facilities, there's women and men that cannot go in because of their records. And I think that needs to be changed as well. That's all.
Thanks. Does anybody want to touch treatment or importance? But again, I just want to thank the Department of Corrections, Commissioner Lanigan, and all the parole board members that are here. Could we ask the members of the parole board to please stand up on the back table? Thank you for being here. Chairman Pelosi, all the members, thank you. Thank you. It's not often that you have a parole board here at a conference on prison reentry. But we work, I know, in Hudson County Jail. Is Penny still here? We do actually yoga, we have AA, we have, whether somebody is of the Muslim faith, the Jewish faith, Christian faith, we have all sorts of offerings in the community because we believe that's part of that spiritual journey is what helps to reclaim lives. We've got time for two more. Jack?
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. I wish I was good. My name is Jacqueline Williams. I am a community advocate. I'm also a founder of a nonprofit organization. My question to you all, especially for the judges, how can we, as concerned citizens, as parents, go about getting help for our children and our young adults? Because the state of New Jersey, for those who are on Medicaid, ceased to provide mental health care for our children. And there are many children in our communities who need this help. So what is out there that we can provide to parents and our children so that they can get the assistance they need?
Well, this is the judiciary. So usually there is a reason for a person coming before the court. Now, the way that the court does it is if there is a person who has committed, let's say criminal, has committed an offense, and they have mental issues, then we, through various agencies like the Jersey City Medical Center here, or Ann Klein, to try to provide those types of services for a person if we're going to sentence them, let's say, for probation, and they need that mental health component. But that is the extent of the judiciary of what we can do. But I think you're asking for something even larger of not regarding the criminal justice system. You're talking about every...
Well, but then we also, just to jump in, I'm sorry, we also have the ability now to register every returning person with the American Affordable Care Act, and so that they can access both mental health treatments and medical care, and through that also register their children. And I know that we do that, as Judge Venable said, with the Jersey City Medical Center and local federally qualified healthcare center. So that's possible. I think that's a very significant change in federal healthcare law.
That is.
So that's so powerful. Joanne, 30 seconds.
My question is for Ms. LeFrak. I'm a Jersey City resident for 16 years and a former small business owner. Are there grants available? How can we, people in the community, create jobs and do similar things to what you're doing at Same Sky?
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful question, and we've been struggling with us, and we do want to create grants for people now. We want innovative solutions. We want to be able to work in the transitional homes. We want to get there early. So we're looking for very innovative solutions that we want to support. So hopefully you'll come up with some really innovative ones.
And I just wanted to pick up on that question because Ms. LeFrak, Francine, has supported microloans for women that are ex-offenders that are returning. And so we do that with our great team in Jersey City, and I don't know where Kathleen is, but we work with Same Sky and helping women that are returning citizens receive the necessary capital. So not only is Francine supporting in terms of employment, there's Kathleen, not only, don't be so shy, not only is it supporting, but also these microloans are really important of giving women capital. But thanks, Joanna. If you want to see Kathleen afterwards, more than welcome. And our last question.
Thank you very much for having this female panel. We need to take this on the road. My question is, how in your roles do you take all the mitigating factors that make me an ex-offender or getting ready to make me one? Because there's so many rules and regulations, seriously. With the driver's license issue, all of us get ready to be an ex-offender. Because if I don't pay my parking ticket, that suspension is coming. That warrant is coming. So this system is so big on making us ex-offenders, there's very little help. When families are returning, how do you get diapers to really help? Because they told her she had to have an apartment. She had to have furniture. Now all of a sudden in the state of New Jersey, we don't do furniture vouchers anymore. We can't help you get nothing. So the help is not here. So how do we take this power right here? Because I'm regular like Lynn. But how do we take this power and make it work when the governor just closed all the mental institutions? And I hope you won't help us about that. Because we can't get no help if the help's not there. Yeah, I am the last one. I know you take this mic. Y'all know I can be up here for you for a minute. But how do we make this work? Because we're talking about some real solutions today. But the problem is the pieces of the puzzle are broken. This is one piece of reentry. How did I get here? And what are we going to do to keep our children from continuing to come here? Because it's a recidivism cycle, because all the support services are not there. And when will we hold providers accountable? Everybody's not delivering the same level of care, but everybody's making money.
Sister, wait a minute. I got an answer. I got an answer. I got an answer because I got an answer, and me and you gonna get together. And me and you gonna get together, and we gonna stay here while the governor here, and we gonna when they talking, we gonna get in line for the question get asked. Here's what we need to do, and this is for real. This coming from the bottom of my heart. And I think it was said earlier, we gotta elect people who are sensitive to our issues. You gotta run for office. You have to run for office. Some of us got to begin to not allow folk who do not have our vested interest run politics. And the best way to do it is to elect those persons who are sensitive to our issue. This is a nonpartisan forum. I don't want to put no politics in this thing. But I'm saying, if they not doing right by you, remind them and vote somebody else in.
Okay, I specifically.
Mark, are you leaving?
And Hillary Clinton be looking for you.
So I want to speak to that issue particularly. So, is my mic not on?
No, it's just a little
Okay. I became the Deputy Administrator of the Motor Vehicle Commission in 2010. I joined in 2010 as an appointee. And when I had an opportunity to witness fugitive safe surrender in Atlantic City and see the thousands of people that came in and were assisted, because what happens very often is you may be released from your current crime, but you have bench warrants and other issues that still make you part of the underground, the invisible society in New Jersey. The benefit of me seeing the program in Camden was that when the program came here to Jersey City, I was able to make the work that the Motor Vehicle Commission did much more effective. So you didn't just walk in and get a pamphlet anymore. We gave you an abstract and told you where to go to clean up your outstanding municipal matters. It is correct. Who you elect makes a difference. But as women, and we are a panel of women, I am a mother, I have fostered children, we care. It doesn't make a difference what your party is. You're a member of this society, you're a member of this community, you want to make the place better that you live in. Chairman Plosis in the back of the room probably doesn't even realize that that walk through Atlantic City, through that church, was what changed my mind and is what opened my eyes to making the process better from a motor vehicle commission standpoint. We all, frankly, in this room can lend our voices and our talent in some way to improve people's lives in reentry. Take this as an opportunity to do better yourselves.
Thank you.
Thank
Can
you
I just
so
respond
much.
to, I'll be the last, just very quickly. Okay, the last person and the other talked about the resources that was needed. Just very quickly, Jim. I have taken I retired from the New Jersey State of Child Protection Services, DIFAS, okay? I've taken 6 years out of my life to live with the women. And the reason being is that we are empowering women to make a difference and to change what needs to be done for women. She said she's a mentor. That's what we're doing. We're raising and empowering women so that they can come to the front line and tell not just their story, but also inform the policy makers of what is really needed. Not what's read in the books, but what the reality is for women returning to society.
I just want everyone to give a round of applause to these amazing women. Reverend Walton, Judge Venable, Pastor Regena Thomas, Judge Williams, Nicole, former Deputy Administrator Selika Gore, and Tonya. Thank you so much for coming. They deserve our standing ovation. Thank you.